Hey everyone, it's Richard Payne here from Halifax Homes at Lifestyles at EXP Realty. And as you know, especially if you've been following me, we've been saying for a year, and we'll be saying it again, that the stats are showing that we are in a seller's market here in Halifax. So what I want to do today is I want to give you 5 tips of how to win from a buyer's point of view in a seller's market. Okay, so let's look at this. It's always a question that we're going to get asked, which is, I'm a buyer, it's a seller's market, should I actually buy a home right now? And the answer always has got to be, when the time is right, then it's right. And it's as simple as that. Same analogy as when people say, when's the best time to plant a tree? 25 years ago. When's the second best time? Right now. Same thing. You don't want to be sitting here going, okay, if I'm going to wait a few months, then prices are still going to go up, inventory is going to go down, and you'll absolutely be stuck on the fence waiting to try and find that perfect house. Somebody else already bought it and it's all gone. So let's dive into the 5 tips that we've got for you as to how to be a buyer in a seller's market. So tip number 1, get started ASAP. We know that what happens in a seller's market is once houses come on, they don't last long. So the trick is to be on top of the market, to absolutely be looking at the MLS listings. Look out for the email that you get from the realtor that's going to find you the property that meets your needs, meets the requirements, and then you can actually get started. So there is no sitting on the fence, it's a question of let's get out there and let's start looking at things, because the sooner we look, the sooner we're ahead of the other buyers, the sooner we can get our offer in and get it accepted. That we'll talk about a little bit later. So that's number 1, get started ASAP. Number 2 out of the 5, let's get ourselves pre-approved, let's get our funds in place and get ready to go. So you've got to make sure, and it's an analogy that I use a couple of times as well, is you have to make sure you know how much money is in your pocket to go spending. Otherwise, it's like window shopping, and that gets really frustrating really quick. It also is one of the things that we obviously have to know as realtors is, what's the budget? What's the neighborhood? And therefore, what are we actually looking to buy in terms of house style, house condition, everything else about it? Because without knowing what the budget is, we're kind of stuck and we're window shopping for who knows what. So make sure that you've seen the mortgage person. If you need a great mortgage person, we have, pretty sure I say she's one of the best in the business. So we can get you her details and she can get you in, have a talk to you, go through the financial situation, and at the same time she'll give you an idea of what you need for down payment. 5, 10, 15, 20%, whatever that number is, but you need to make sure that those funds are in place as well. So that's tip number 2. Get yourself pre-approved, get ready for the costs that are going to come on closing day, as well as the inspections and everything else that we're going to need. Deed transfer tax, don't forget that one. Okay, let's look at number 3. Number 3 is, let's keep our offer simple. So in the world of multiple offers, in the world of a seller's market, you don't want to send your offer through and make it complicated. You don't want to have Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C with all these extra conditions on there, when realistically, we've got more than enough conditions in the standard purchase and sale agreement that are going to help us make sure that if something isn't right, if something we don't like, we've actually got the ability to look at one of those conditions and deal with it. So let's keep it simple. Let's not put a lot of extra conditions in there. I know that if it was me as a seller, I would certainly be looking at like 5, 6 pages versus someone who sent just the 3 pages in and be kind of going, well, that's complicated. That's a lot to deal with. I've got to understand all that stuff, because let's face it, sometimes those conditions are not the easiest of things to read through. They're very legally written. So trying to understand them can be sometimes difficult. So let's do that. Let's make our offer nice and simple. Let's make it easy to understand. That's going to be a winner. Okay, let's move on to tip number 4, which is all about the price. Because let's face it, everybody, money talks. Especially when you get into multiple offers. Typically, not always, but typically, the person that gets the win, the person that gets accepted, or at least is the person that gets a counter offer in a multiple offer situation, is the one with the best price. Yes, there's lots of condition dates. Yes, there's obviously the closing date, which is when you want to get the keys. But realistically, money's always going to talk. So make sure that you go in with a strong price. If you've done your research, if the realtor you're working with has made sure that they've looked at all the market comparables and the listing price of $349,000 is reasonable and sensible, go in at $349,000. We know that the sale to list price right now within Halifax area is 98%. That's pretty close. So if you look at that, and yes, you know, obviously sometimes it can be a lot different, but don't forget, we're talking seller's market. We're talking possibility of multiple offers. Money is going to talk. Go in with a strong offer with a good price. We're not telling you to go over asking price, but if asking price makes sense and it's a good number, go in at asking price. Okay, final point number 5 of our 5 tips is let's write the seller a little letter. So there's a reason that you have been drawn to the property. There's a reason you want to actually send your offer in, that you can see yourselves living in that house. Let's talk to the seller. Let's play a little bit of an emotional game here. Let's tell them why we love the house. Tell them about the great backyard, the lovely neighborhood, the school district, you know, all of the things that, the reasons why you're probably looking to make an offer on that house and live there. It's probably the same reasons that they bought it in the first place. And there's a reason the phrase of a little flattery goes a long way is the perfect thing to do. Now, we've only used this about 2-3 times last year, but went down like a bomb. Absolutely screaming success. And when we used it, we got the result we want, which was we got accepted. And don't forget, that's the whole point of sending in the offer. You want to be the one that's accepted. So let's spend a little time. Now, we're not going to write 2-3 pages here. You know, let's keep it to a couple of paragraphs, maybe 3 paragraphs. But the key thing is we want a little bit of emotion. We want a little bit of the sellers to get involved with us as to why we're buying that house. And that wraps up our 5 tips for how to be a buyer in a seller's market. Now, if you have any questions on any of this, you can shoot me an email, drop me a text, give me a call. Lots of ways to get hold of me, and we will give you all the best information and let you know how we managed to get our offers accepted in a seller's market.